A lot of people ask me how I got started in doing what I'm doing. I met my first teacher on Memorial Day when I was 30 years old. And in a session with him, a little pink crease opened up in the space between the top of my head and the ceiling, and this pink light came pouring out. And he said, "Man, you're channeling the Christ consciousness right through your left knee." He said, "Have you heard it recently?" I said, "Yeah. I jumped off a 30-foot tabletop on a snowboard and I landed at 28 feet. Pow!" He said, "Well, that injury has given you access." And it really opened up an entire universe for me. So I worked with him for years. And sometime after this, I was using the spiritual principles to become successful. That was kind of like my first foray in it. I was selling corporate insurance, and I rose to the top of this great big company and was getting this award in front of 10,000 people for being the top salesman. And I was just so sure that I was changing my life and this success was going to make me something. But I was standing there in the backstage, the crowd out front. My dad was in the crowd. And this was going to be a moment I was going to prove my worth. But I started talking to some of the other guys, and I realized that they were all just shooting for bigger goals next year, and that this was the life that I had chosen, and suddenly it felt empty. All they could talk about was how much money. They weren't talking about what they were doing for people. They weren't talking about any purpose. They were talking about how much money they were going to make. So the stage manager pushed me out in front of these two giant jumbotrons, and they read my name and my accomplishments, and I gave a little wave to the crowd, and I sat down in the front row, the very same man that I was before. So a couple of weeks went by, and I was really sitting with this, and on September 10th, 2001, the day before 9/11, I just suddenly stood up, called my coach, I fired him, told my manager I was taking some time off, and I started writing my first book. And I knew what the first 5 chapters were, how we can use the power of visualization to create the life we want. But I didn't know the last 5 chapters, which was what would happen if you really went into the spiritual dimension with it. That was the first of 11 books. I taught a lot of people that process in that first book, not realizing, even at that point, what I was yet to embark. But it made me what I am today, and I'm very grateful. God bless you and have the very best of days.